product, it's much higher in terms of what the product should provide. And I think that one of the main things that I've come across is that as a QA manager, I put forth a strategy of testing that it's not just focused on finding the errors, but it's also attempting to measure the level of comfort and quality and overall usability of the application from the user perspective. I think that, as Dean mentioned, the beta side process, it's very helpful in that sense because you get feedback not only of the things that are wrong, but you get actual users from the real world telling you that the process you've implemented and the way it's implemented is not necessarily the best way to go about it. And in some cases, you may come back and redesign some of the elements of the application because once you put it to real use, it's not working as designed or as the user finds it more I guess more practical. Another element that I think it's very critical, besides taking that approach that it's not just about the bad stuff, but also validating the good stuff, it's that I find that it's a very dynamic world. When you design the testing plan for a specific customer, for example, Novell, I wouldn't be surprised if you have specific testing platforms and labs for some of your largest customers who have specific compatibility issues or you have specific usability requirements. And those are the challenges that you have to take into account when, for example, you're building an automation framework. Do I onboard the customers that I also know are extremely relevant to this product and not only are my customers, but that they also provide critical feedback into what the product needs to have towards the future. So I think that it's overall very, very dynamic, and we need to keep that in mind as QA managers when dealing with a product. And I think that it makes the whole system evolve very quickly.
Carla, you mentioned a couple of things that brought to mind to me other considerations. When you were testing for an internal business app, you also may not have the requirements of a global application that's being used in a variety of languages, geographies, locales, that have specific time-date format issues, that have specific character encoding problems, or have translation or localization types of things. And so that's another aspect. And when you talk about usability, that usability can change from one culture to another or from one particular mindset to another. And so being able to test that in authorized betas and key customer type of situations is key to the success of your product. Like you said, it's not just about finding whether your product is quality, it's also about finding whether your product is going to hit its market opportunity.
That's a very, very interesting point that you bring, Dean, the globalization. That's something that most organizations do not have to deal with for their internal applications. Somehow it's a very, very controlled environment. But once you're talking about a product that gets used all over the world, that adds a whole new level of complexity. And that brings me to the other question, and you mentioned earlier the commitment to quality, and what Carla was also referring, and also with the beta releases. So with that in mind, we can probably address the second question on this issue, which is where does testing fit into the software product development life cycle? Is there really a testing phase, or is it something that's done throughout the entire application development process? Do you want to tackle that, Dean?
Sure. Thank you. I was about ready to jump in. I didn't know if Carla was going to beat me to the punch. There are different methodologies for software development. Traditional waterfall types of methodologies still are very effective, but they're also very iterative. In addition, new methodologies are coming online, whether they're Scrum or Agile type of methodologies that incorporate more shorter cycles and milestone-driven types of product development that require and somewhat proactively include quality control at every stage of software development. Most metrics and studies have shown that finding quality issues early in the development cycle can save tons of money on a magnitude savings if you can time that in the design phase, or you can time that in early development or code review type of stages, knowing that the cost of that is exponential once it goes out to customers. So, you know, and the reality is that there are great benefits to including testing. They come at the product from a different mindset with a different objective in mind, and they really help the overall quality and marketability of your software product. So it kind of fits in every part of it, but I would consider that it's probably become more and more relevant in the design, in the early phases, and in code review type test cases of software development.
Excellent. Carla, do you want to provide a complement to that?
No, I think that I completely agree. I think that here Dean has definitely a broader spectrum of experience, being himself part of a product testing cycle. In general terms, I think that more and more we're going to stop looking at just testing. I think that we're going to start looking more and more at quality assurance, even if it's not the whole shebang from the beginning. I think that 10 years ago, people were really skeptical about QA, and it had to do more with, I really don't even know where to start with it. You know, let me buy a book and see what it's all about. Today, I think that that barrier has come down, and more people are attempting user reviews, functional inspection reviews. They're actually doing validation of the technical designs very early on, and even if you don't do it in all the cases for the entire process, I think that we are definitely going to see the presence of the test lead questioning the testability of everything that the user can think of that he or she wants for that specific application. Testing still has a very solid place, and it is the barrier where you need to make sure that all the critical elements stop. But I think that it's going to evolve, particularly now, as I was mentioning earlier, that companies are finding that they need to do more with exactly the same resources, and that means process reengineering, and that means maximizing the implementation and benefits of what a testing and QA method can give them in order to save money.
Okay. Let me jump into the issue number 2, which is the role of test automation, and probably you can take this, Carla, and probably provide us a perspective on both of the questions that we have for this issue, which is how much test automation can be leveraged in the process of testing a software product, and which are the considerations that we should take.
Well, I think that in general terms, we're seeing that automation in itself has matured in a very important manner over the last couple of years. Now we have tools that support almost every single technology that is coming out the door. The turnaround time for it is surprisingly fast. And I think that more we're going to see automation being part of the testing cycle of a product. I was discussing this with you earlier in the week, and I was